And we're live. You know how I know that? A little thing comes up on the screen that says you are live.
Says you're
And
live.
then yes, and then the other little like broadcast button, it turns
Yeah.
red. It changes colors.
So you
So
you you get all the tools that you need to know where you're at and what you're doing.
exactly. I just want to give a little behind the scenes for everybody. Let them know.
I got you.
That's how we know because it says you're live and it changes colors. That's how we know. It's gonna be an interesting show. I think we're gonna piss some people off today, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man,
Uh,
I
at
I,
least
I am not opposed to that. I am a stir the pot kind of guy.
well,
So
I'm going to probably piss somebody off only because
right,
I'm aware of one of the
right,
topics that you're not,
yeah,
and so my opinion is based upon actually being aware.
okay. You're
So,
aware of two of the topics that I'm not, by the way.
well, one of the topics is going to piss some people off, I think.
Okay,
So
dude, I'm
it's
still
going to be
waiting for this.
interesting.
I got the TV on above me before we start the show, and Japan's prime minister. I can't wait till he stands up. I want to see what the tie looks like when he stands up. Dude,
Alright.
no lie, the guy has a tie, and the tie is so long it goes all the way past his crotch while he's sitting down. That's that's
Yeah.
unusually long for the
Sure.
tie. I
Yeah.
unless he just like has a well, even if he has a small torso, then you just tie the
You
tie
just tie it
shorter.
differently. Yeah.
But I really I think when he stands up, it's going to be down to his knee. I think. I really think that his tie is going to go down to his
Well,
knee.
you ready to
Oh,
get
they're not going
started?
to show it. Yeah, whatever. Let's
All right,
just
let's
do
do
our
it.
show
Let's get
then.
started.
Yeah, thanks.
Shut up and sit down.
What up? What up? What up?
Boom. That was
Hello.
exceptionally loud today.
It was a big boom. It was a big
Was it really
boom.
loud for you today? That was
No,
really
it
loud
wasn't
for me
really
today.
loud for me.
Wow.
Today. You're just getting older, and
Yeah, I
you're more
guess so.
sensitive to
I'm
sound.
a week
Anyway,
older.
what's up, everybody? This is Dope. I almost said the wrong name of the show. This is Dope and Dharma. Dope and Dharma. The what is it? The middle edition of Dope and Dharma.
What's
all
that
confused.
show you're on again?
Well, I got to remember what day of the week it is. You know what I mean?
Bro, we both have way too much combined salt and pepper in our beards to
Right.
misremembering things.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you on the We the Middle edition of Dope and Dharma. And the reason it's important to talk about that it's the We the Middle edition is because on Mondays we do the Couch Live, which is a show that focuses on addiction and recovery and all things in between, family issues, mental health issues, all that stuff. And we've been doing that for over 20 years, in our 24th year, I think, of doing that. And then, of course, Dharma Time. We've been doing it at least for several years, and that is our Tuesday show. And what we do on that show is we talk about, obviously, spiritual life. Come from a spiritual perspective. He is the Dharma guy, by the way, Trinity Phillips, and he takes lead on that show and takes us down a path of talking about all the stuff that we love to talk about in regards to how to help you as
And
a
I got a
person,
topic
as
for
a
that one, too.
family. Okay,
If you want a
great.
sneak peek.
Okay, and that is to help us just live a better life, just be better people. Because some of you are just assholes and you just need a little help. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
We're all assholes at times.
Yeah, right.
You know how I feel about that. Anyway, I apologize for cursing, Mom. I'll try to stop.
This is
Anyway,
the We the Middle, so they're going to get quite a bit of that.
right,
As it
and
goes
then
on.
and then of course we have We the Middle, which we come from a middle of the line perspective, and in other words, we're registered independent, or
Non-affiliated.
nonpartisan or non-affiliated, and we're neither Crips nor Bloods. But you Crips and Bloods are quite openly allowed to share your opinions. If you want to be way
Yes.
left or way right, that's all right. I think that all voices and all opinions matter, and you need to have a place where you could speak about them without being censored, without being shut up. No, I mean, you have your opinion and you're allowed to have it. Mine's not more valid than yours, and yours is not more valid than mine. And we can't get too pissed off about it to the point where we shut off friends and shut off people. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, so there's ways to watch and listen to us. Trinity, do you want to let people know how that is?
You know what? I was hoping you'd ask me that because I absolutely want to tell people.
Were you prepared?
Yes. So for any of you who would like to consume us live and interact with us and comment and let us know your right or left perspective, or any of the other shows for that matter, you could do so on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Twitch Live. all under Dope and Dharma. However, if you'd like to just listen and at your own leisure, whatever date and time, then you can do that on any of the major podcasting platforms. We're on all of them under Dope and Dharma.
That's right. That's right. So here we are today doing this, and hopefully you choose to participate with your perspective. We love hearing your perspectives, and Marissa's on right now. Hey, Marissa, how you doing?
Hey.
See your comments, so you can feel free to comment with Marissa or comment against Marissa if you want to fight her and you're like that. No, hey,
let's just get it on.
Just so you know, she'll kick your ass.
Give it back.
Just let you know. Anyway, all right, Trinity. So what are we talking about today on We the Middle? I mean, there's not a lot of things I think in the news that are politically minded, but as always, I flip back and forth from CNN to Fox to see what the Crips and Bloods are talking about, and I got it on right now. So go ahead.
Well, first off, let me ask: are you going to be available on Tuesday for the show? Are we doing Dharma time?
You put me on the spot here. Look at my calendar.
Yes, I am, because I have a sneak peek. I have the title of the show. Okay. Because we were going to do it this last Tuesday, but we were not able to do Dharma time for whatever reason. I don't remember why. You were probably off gallivanting around somewhere.
Oh yeah, I do. Wait. You gotta make sure. No. I just got to make sure of a flight. I looked. I think I fly out the 18th. Now 17th. Tuesday is the 17th.
Yes.
Let me see.
Tuesday would be the 17th.
All right. Good.
Oh, so
we. My flight.
Oh, I feel like such a dick right now.
Oh, dude, what are you doing?
Because I actually got to take my mom to the doctor.
So you can't do it.
Oh,
so wait a minute, you can't do it.
I can. We'll just have to do it earlier.
What's early?
My mom's got a doctor's appointment at 1:45 to check up her broken arm, which she's doing right, by the way.
Fine. Yeah, I fly out the 18th. I'm good on
okay.
The 17th.
So yes, we will have a show on Tuesday for Dharma time.
Right.
It'll most likely be just a tad bit earlier than normal. And for those of you who are wanting a sneak peek, the title I have come up with, the working title anyways, is Considering in Consideration. Let your mind ponder on that one.
Dude, I can't even repeat it, much less ponder it. Considering in consideration?
Yes. So
let me take another. I think I need another sip. Like, I think I'm behind today.
Sneak peek, man.
I just think I'm in a drowsy mood today or something.
We absolutely have to have that show, not only because I gave the sneak peek, but because I don't want to be the reason why we don't have it. I like my streak of blaming you.
All right. So. And Marissa, I'm coming up to Newark, New Jersey, close to you, but it's just for the one night and out. It's like a quickie. Right. So and she knows that Newark, New Jersey is still like 2.5 hours from Marissa, man.
Right.
I'm getting close. I'm still getting closer.
All right. So let's start with why not? Let's get it out of the way. Boom. Biden docs. Yeah.
Wow. All right, Trinity. So anyway, so there's been some documents found, right?
Yes.
So update us. What's the deal of all these Biden files?
Okay. So from what my understanding is, back when Biden was the VP, he, when they kind of vacate the premises and allow the newer, Trump in, the president-elect,
right?
They pack in all the stuff and they get to go,
right?
And there are various files and boxes and things of that nature. And when the president leaves, they have a certain amount of carte blanche where they can kind of declassify things and take them with them. The VP does not have that luxury. So what it looks like is when Biden was the VP and leaving, he apparently took some documents with him and had them staged in, I think, 2 locations in his 2 different homes.
Staged.
One of them was the garage where apparently he filmed a commercial in his beautiful Corvette, by the way. In the background, you could clearly see boxes in the garage. And I don't know how true that is, if that was them or not. Who knows? Bottom line is, he had documents that were within his, possession that he shouldn't have had, and they have now opened up an investigation, and that's happening. I don't personally think that is the story, though. For me personally, the story is the hypocrisy of the media, and just the overall ridiculousness of it.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. The media is hypocritical.
Yes, they're not even shy about it anymore. That's they don't even try to hide it. It's crazy. It's like the It's like the magician doing the trick right out in front of you and just not even acting like you can see it. Just I'm just gonna do the trick. You can see how it's done. I don't even care.
So before you go into the hypocrisy thing, how many locations did they find stuff?
Last I checked, there was two different locations. Two different homes, I believe. In one of the homes, supposedly it was the garage, and they weren't locked up.
And why all of a sudden? Why? I don't know. Can we talk about that first?
It's my understanding that it wasn't all of a sudden. It's my understanding that they've known about it since like November, and they were told about it again. I think in December. I want to say.
Was he doing spring cleaning or something? I mean, like who's cleaning out these places all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that they apparently were made aware of it, and it wasn't like they didn't call out the SWAT team.
Oh, so that's where you. Okay, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. Go with your thought.
Well,
where are you going with that?
Well, for me, I think that the hypocrisy is. So I too tried to do my best to channel flip, and when Mar-a-Lago was hit. That was Trump's residence. Yeah. Dude, they had the SWAT team there. All the news cameras were there. You would think that like there was an assassination attempt on somebody important or something. It was insane.
I don't think it was a SWAT team, but okay.
I think they were actually.
Come on. SWAT?
Yeah, they were there.
SWAT goes for like when people are like
my point.
held hostage.
So that's kind of my point, right? Okay, like they treated it like it was a hostage negotiation.
But they did go in,
And Trump, by all rights, had the ability to declassify stuff.
Right.
They knew he had them.
Right.
He said he was going to give them to him. He was just dragging his feet, being petty, basically.
Right.
And so it was weird that they blew it up like that. It was crazy the way they blew it up. Okay, fine. Right. It is what it is. CNN covered it to just like, oh my gosh, covered it every second of the day.
Okay.
Fox covered it. But they played it down, right? They covered it, but they were downplaying it by saying, "Oh, it's no big deal. They knew about it. This is ridiculous." Okay. Fast forward, Biden gets hit with these things. I think there was like a byline on CNN. There was like a little on the ticker. They just mentioned, "Oh yeah, Garland's going to do an investigative thing." When it's no big deal. Anyway, so back to this Santos guy, right? So they're talking about Santos, which.
Wait, how do we get back to Santos? How do we go to Santos?
Exactly.
Oh, you're saying that's how they do it.
That's what they were doing. They were talking about Santos, the Republican guy.
Well, right now they're talking about
who fudged his resume. He fudged his resume, and that's what they were talking about while this is happening with Biden. Now, mind you, during the Trump thing, that's all you saw.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it happened to their guy, because let's not pretend like they're not left-leaning. It happened to their guy. Suddenly, it's no big deal. I don't know why they're paper. It's just paper. And then Fox is covering it, but they're covering it like, they're covering it like CNN covered Trump. And so, to me, it's just disgusting. Like either it's a problem or it's not. And if it is, okay, let's treat it as such.
Right.
If it's not, then let's move on.
Well, the issue I see, the funny thing about channel flipping, and by the way, people, I strongly recommend it. For those of you that just watch CNN,
if nothing but for the humor,
you're really doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Because you actually still believe that the vaccine prevents people from getting COVID, and the only people spreading it are the people unvaccinated. Just that's one issue that you do not get if you just watch that, CNN, MSNBC, and all the rest of the left-leaning news networks. Because you're just so anti-Fox. That's because what I hear so many people that are Crips is whenever someone disagrees with them, they go, "Oh, you got that on Fox News. Oh, you got that on Fox News." Like I hear that a lot out there.
As if Fox News doesn't have actual news.
Right. It is as if everything on it is right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But then if you watch just Fox News, you always, of course, you see them blow this up, but it's always comes with the following sentence. Do you remember when your guy did it? It's like cons, or you remember when our guy did it and how much you investigated us? It's always comes with that tagline. It's like they're constantly defending themselves. That's so you get this image. Like I've always had an image growing up that the Bloods were the big bully power source, right? And that the defense was always the Crips. The Crips are always defending their territory, right? Trying to defend. But it's actually, in today's world, it's like flipped. The Bloods are constantly getting their butts kicked by everybody. And they're constantly saying, hey, We called a recession. You said it was transitory. We said there was a migrant problem. You said that there's the borders secure. We said that fentanyl was an issue. You said no, it's under control. I mean, everything has been an issue. And then these documents, the Biden, this when you say Biden docs, I don't know if you were going with Hunter Biden's laptop because we had Biden laptop. Now we got Biden documents. I mean,
that which isn't allowed to be spoken of
in all the shows. Other than Fox, like it's only when you flip on Fox News that you even hear about this stuff.
Yeah,
because if not, you just don't even. When you hear about it, you like what you said. I on CNN, they were like, yeah, it happened, but it's not as many as what Trump had, and he's being fully cooperative, and everybody knows that he believes in security and he believes in what do they call it? Confidentiality or keeping things secret.
I don't know. Wait a minute,
how do we know that? Because he attacked Trump. That's why. Because what he said about Trump. Because he says, "How could you be that irresponsible?" So he must not ever do that. Like we've never heard a hypocrite before.
Yeah.
Like, have anyone here ever been told something hypocritical? I do it all the time with my wife. Like she'll talk loud in public or something, and I'll look at Dana. I'll go, "Hey, Dana, shh," and she'll go, "Oh yeah, you're telling me to shush." So I get called out on my hypocrisy all the time, and I just got to live with it, right? And I have to always say the same thing. Yes, Danny, you're right. I am a loud person, but for right now, in this instance, you're being loud. So my being loud all the time does not excuse you being loud this time. So I always have to explain my thing. Now, I feel like Fox News.
I'm sure that goes over really well.
Hey, there's no right way to say because she has me dead to rights. In other words, I can never ever shut anyone up in the world because I've been loud. You know what I mean?
The pot calling the kettle black.
Right. But in other words, sometimes you're right, and I'm right. But the point is that you're absolutely correct here. The way they're covering this and the way they're talking about it, and he's a vice president, so. Why does he have the documents anyway?
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to do that.
Dude, there really are people that lose their rank, lose their career, lose everything. My father is a retired command sergeant major. My mother worked for the federal government, and I remember how serious in both of those, because both of them had top secret clearance. My mother even more so because she dealt with weaponry in the cells of arms or whatever that shiza she was doing. And the point is that I knew there's zero we can know about it, zero that can ever be talked about it. And when she retired, she made sure everything there was she had nothing, not a laptop, nothing, because they give you all that stuff like phone, laptop, all that was make sure it was gone. People lose careers and money over this, and then so I understood why they were upset with Trump. But here's the big difference, Trinity. So I want to ask you about this.
Sure.
With the Trump files, it's my understanding that we say Mar-a-Lago, but Mar-a-Lago is no longer what Mar-a-Lago was. Right. Mar-a-Lago is now the home of an ex-president, meaning it is no longer supposed to be accessible by anyone, at least certain areas, right? Now, we do know for some reason people get in places, which is ridiculous when we find out about, this person was just roaming around Mar-a-Lago, so it happens, which is why Trump, you couldn't do it, because it does happen, even though you have Secret Service and everything. But Mar-a-Lago is now a mini White House for all intents and purposes, right? Because he is the ex-president, and we still protect the ex-presidents forever, people, forever. So it's not like your house or my house. It's not the same. Don't even try to think that it's the same, because it's not. It's so something being at Mar-a-Lago is very similar to it being in the White House. Gray area. Now a vice president, on the other hand, I don't know how much we protect these.
I think they get some, maybe not to the same level.
But I love when he said, by the way, it was near my Corvette, but my Corvette is in a locked garage.
Let's just take a moment, though, to appreciate the Corvette, because that is a beautiful car he has.
It's in a locked garage. What he wanted to say is, oh, screw the documents. You think I'm going to leave my Corvette in an open area, unguarded?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He cares more about the Corvette. The Corvette he knew was there. I love how he goes, the documents? What documents? Oh, I didn't know they were there. Well, you know what? Hey, they found cocaine on me. It wasn't mine. Where was that? It's not mine. I didn't know the cocaine was there, officer.
These are my cousin's pants.
Yeah. Has that ever been allowed to be an excuse? What judge has ever allowed someone to say, I didn't know? At least Trump didn't say, I didn't know they were there. Trump said, I knew I had all those documents, didn't know the classification. I thought I declassified these documents, and they were all there in a locked area. Yet they searched everything, and like Marissa says, supposedly they I don't know if it's true.
I don't know how true that is.
The rumor is they searched Melania's personal stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. But the point is that he at least didn't say, I didn't know that I had a storage of documents.
What documents?
This dude goes, documents? What documents?
That's kind of believable though, because I don't think Biden remembers what day of the week it is sometimes. So
yeah, but he's not supposed to tell us that. Like if you accidentally have documents, or even if you're on purpose, I want to know that you knew you had documents hidden away and they were he should have said it should read more like this. I did not know they were classified documents, but I knew I had important documents from when I was vice president, and I had those items secured and locked away and put somewhere secure, because whether they're confidential or not, I don't think they should ever be viewed by public. That's the way you answer. Not what document? You mean over there by the oil can? Oh, you saw my vet? My vet's nice, right? I have a nice Corvette, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Forget the Corvette. Where's my wrench? You can't talk like that.
No.
That shouldn't be the way you ever talk about. And you're right. Nobody's talking smack about them.
Nope.
Well, one channel. One only on Fox News are they even talking about by documents.
Pretty much.
But does it surprise you? I mean, remember when the laptop literally has how many good movies in it? I mean, I'm talking about good movies, dude. These are going to be great. Oh my God. I wish there were more blood producers and directors in Hollywood, because there's some great movies that we can watch about the Biden laptop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and even that, like, coming up to our next topic, that was a complete part of my friendship, a shit show. Because when it first came out, everybody was like, no, this is ridiculous. There's no such thing as a laptop.
Right.
Fast forward, and then it starts to kind of come out, and then the Twitter files hit, and then it's like, whoa, there was absolutely a laptop, and they absolutely tried to keep it from everybody.
And they held on to it long enough, Trinity, so by the time the real stuff comes out about it, they go, but we knew about that. Yeah. And you didn't react then, and you're not reacting now. Dude, the dude's still in office. The dude's been in office for 50 years. This is just the stuff from like a couple of years.
Yeah.
What about all those 50 years?
Yeah. And they don't even want to discuss like how in bed it appears to be that he was with China. I mean, it's coming out now that China has been donating to the Biden University thing, like in the tens of millions of dollars. Like, I'm not saying it's a problem. I don't know, but why am I just now hearing about this?
Not only are you just now hearing about it, but why you can't say that you care about, all the stuff that you said Trump did. In other words, was he Russia collusion and all that? If you don't care about China collusion, you can't, or Ukrainian collusion.
Yeah.
You can't care about. You can't act like you care and not care. Look, first of all, like Trinity and I say on this show a lot, you all know you're hypocrites. You all know you do dirty. So stop calling each other out for being dirty. And we would think you all are perfect. You all can make a mint off us. If you guys just don't call each other out on your crap, you guys would be in office. You guys would be able to pull the wool over our eyes, make a lot of private money, be able to do all your dirty stuff, be able to cheat on your wives just like you do anyway, rip us off like you do anyway, and nobody would know about it.
Yeah.
But instead, you keep calling each other out, so you know what's going to happen. You found documents at his house. Well, guess what? I'm going to find documents at your house. Because guess what? I bet you every single one of you have documents at your house.
Exactly.
Every single one of you.
They're all tattletales.
Dude, remember, they literally found what they say about Hillary Clinton. She literally
emails,
erased, and then erased, and nothing happened to her. So apparently, when it happens to you guys, nothing happens. So why tell us about it? You're not going to do anything about it unless it's a Republican. The only time you're ever going to do anything is when it's a blood, because bloods seem to have zero power when it comes to top cops, which is weird, right? Because all the lower level cops seem to understand what bloods, the way bloods operate and appreciate the bloods, right?
Yeah,
all lower level law enforcement. But as soon as you get to top cop level, they become Crips.
I think they become what they have to.
But really,
Yeah.
something is at that Crip level that's very, very powerful that we just really can't.
Sure.
I've never heard of a blood that has killed more people than the Clintons, right? All the conspiracy theories are about Clintons, right? I'm not saying they did it. Don't kill me. I'm just saying all the conspiracy theories. And let's talk about conspiracity theories for a second.
It just depends on if you believe the conspiracy theory that Bush is the reason why 9/11 happened. If you believe that one, then he's probably got the win there.
Why is it that most conspiracy theories seem to be blood leaning? Are they the only ones that actually question authority? And then what Crips do is just defy authority when it's not in their favor?
I think it's flipped though, right?
No, but why are there no conspiracy theories in the Crips? What are the Crip conspiracy theories?
I don't remember them now, but I know there was. Like back when Bush and all them were president, like I know there was some out there.
But they don't call them conspiracy theories.
Well, they were.
They call them facts.
Well, they were conspiracy theories about like the corruption of the different corporations and whatnot, and like. But like you said, I think some of those were founded, like Enron.
Right.
Some of them are kind of true. Which same thing here, right? Some of the left,
but I don't think the Bloods were protecting Enron.
I don't know.
No, but I'm saying more like conspiracy theories, like for instance, when they talked about the Russia collusion, they never called it a conspiracy theory. They called it a fact. When they say the Bloods are white supremacists and they support white supremacy, I mean they actually say it from the pulpit. I mean the pulpit. Biden's actually gone up there and said that these people are white supremacists. The vice president of our country has said these are white supremacists. I mean, these are accusations, and yet they're not called. That's not called a conspiracy theory. Those are called facts.
Yeah.
So why aren't those called conspiracy theories? Why isn't it called a conspiracy theory when they say law enforcement unjustly attacks us minorities? Why isn't that called a conspiracy theory? Instead, it's just called a fact. Why aren't all the things that they say? They never call it a conspiracy theory. Now, everything a Blood says is all conspiracy theories. They're all whack jobs to them.
We got one of those today too, by the way.
Isn't that weird though? I mean, I'm just saying. It just
because they control the media on that one. I mean, let's be honest. The majority of the media is left leaning.
Right. It's just weird how everything they say is a fact and everything that the Blood say is a conspiracy theory. So they make it seem like only Bloods question things, and they make it seem like what they do is they just follow along because they have so many channels. You really see it because they have so many channels. Like if you hear a word, like remember that transitory inflation word?
Yeah,
you've never heard it since. You haven't heard it since.
Yep.
You haven't heard it. And by the way, in my 50 years of life, in my 53 years of life, I never heard it before.
And you probably won't again.
But there was 1 2-week period, 1 2-week period where I heard it a million times on every channel that wasn't Fox News.
Yeah,
that's my point. In other words, when they speak, it's like they get like a memo.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, let's just just go right into the next one, right?
Okay.
And so the Russia files, or the Russia collusion, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So just some backstory for those of you who maybe didn't know or can't remember. Back in the day, during Trump's presidency, he was investigated because they were operating under the assumption that he was colluding with Russia to control or steal the election, to manipulate the election, which is once again funny because when they say collusion to interact the election, oh no, when he says the election was stolen, which last I checked, you're both saying the same thing. The election was done under nefarious means, but I digress.
From the beginning of time, all elections have been tried to be stolen.
Exactly.
That's part of politics.
But anyways, so what I find interesting is, all right, so the great Elon Musk, when he purchased Twitter, he vowed in the interest of transparency to release a bunch of stuff. And I don't think people took him seriously. I think they were just like, oh, okay. And then he started dropping stuff. He started making memos, emails, and things of that nature public for a lot of people. And a really good reporter, he used to be at the Rolling Stones a long time ago. I've actually watched his work for better part of a decade. Matt Taibbi. He is like a freelance guy now, and he's been posting a lot of it on Twitter. Okay. So I would encourage people to go follow Matt Taibbi on Twitter to see his story. The latest one, he's been covering the Twitter drop.
Wait. That name sounds like a white supremacist. That must be a white supremacist. That's why he's doing it. No, I guarantee. Is he against the Crips?
He's not against either one of them. Like
Oh.
he's just a reporter. He actually does just report facts.
I think he's a white supremacist blood. Go ahead.
Sure, you're entitled to feel that way. But remember, feelings aren't facts. So, anyways, he's been
Catch
covering
us
a
on
lot of
Tuesdays.
these. Yeah, he's been covering a lot of these different drops. And that's where they found out about the Biden laptop, how there was an actual movement to suppress that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they did it again apparently with the Russia collusion. So there was I think Nunez is the one at the time who they were trying so hard to find Russia collusion and the Russian bots, as you call them on Twitter. Well, Twitter came and did an investigation and came to them. This is all behind closed doors, and said, no, there's no Russian bots. I mean, we've looked. It's all organic. It's coming from real people. There's no Russian bots. That's a non-story. And then they even offered, this is where the shady part comes in. They, as an entity, says, well, we don't recommend going this route because there's no proof or no data, but we can try this one. They were offering another way, like another gotcha, that they can have more control to manifest. And then the powers that be in the Democratic Party said, no, we're gonna push this one. We're gonna push the Russia bot thing. I think it was Nunez that came out and said that no, this isn't true. He got onto the FBI and they all laughed at him and everything else. Well, fast forward, all these emails are coming out. They all knew ahead of time that there was no Russia collusion. They knew that the bot story wasn't real. They pushed it anyways, and they tried to strong arm their friends and pals in the left-leaning Twitter. And it's all come to light now. And so go ahead.
Like, how has it come to light? Like, what's an example?
The actual emails of them saying, hey, there's nothing here, and them saying, too bad, we're going to find it anyways.
Really?
Like, legitimate emails back and forth of them explicitly telling them, there is no Russia bots. We found no data for that. Don't go forward with it. And them saying, no, we're going to go forward with it. We think we can win with this. Like, legitimate verbatim. Like, it's almost as bad as like, hey guys, where's the illegal activity taking place this evening? Like, it's almost that bad. It's like, first of all, like, criminals these days. I'm insulted that I was ever a criminal back in the day. The criminals these days, they film themselves, they email each other, what is wrong with you idiots? Like, if you're gonna do something,
they pay hookers with credit cards and checks.
Yeah, what are you doing? What? I gotta buy some Coke from here. Let me get my 2 IDs out so I can prove. What are you doing? Like, I don't know. The caliber of criminal these days, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah,
you are not a good criminal.
Yeah, you suck at it.
They emailed each other. You emailed as a high-ranking public official on a public emailed a high-ranking CEO of one of the most influential companies on earth. You didn't think that was going to come to light at some point? Like,
Twitter has become the similar
to
Watergate. To like if your grandfather passes away and you got to go clean out their house and you find out
a box,
all kinds of shit.
There's a box in the corner.
You didn't want to know about your grandfather, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what it reminds? Yeah, I can't even say it. Never mind. I can't. You know.
But yeah, like I said, I'd encourage people to go to follow Matt Taibbi, and he's been covering them like really, really extensively. I think we're up to like 16 now Twitter files. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know what all of them are about. I know like the top 3 that I've heard of.
It's just insane.
But there's a ton of stuff that Elon has released that is just like, whoa.
And I haven't heard any of this. You know,
they talked about it on Fox the other day. Nothing on CNN.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really watched a lot of it, so I need to flip more over. It's definitely not on CNN because that's what I have on in between. You know, but wow, that's pretty hardcore, man. To even think that because that was a big deal. I mean, everybody remembers.
They tried to impeach him,
dude, and they did. They did impeach him. Like,
well, not for
twice,
that one.
Didn't they? I mean, like,
I don't
even remember what they impeached him for, to be honest with you.
The collusion part. That's what they tried to impeach him for that one, but they lost. And then they did impeach him for, I think it was wasn't it the January 6th stuff? Or no, it was the Ukraine thing. The Ukraine thing they impeached him on.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, why? How? What? I don't even know. I don't get it. I don't get it. All I remember is that when the Bloods had their top dog in office, You Crips were investigating every day. Every day.
Yeah.
You didn't even let the dude run the country. You didn't even give him an opportunity to run the country. You just guys were crying from day one. Remember when he got elected? You guys were just, you were crying on the news. Dude, CNN was the funniest channel.
Yeah.
Funny, because right when he got elected, they were like, Donald Trump is now the president of the United States. And they just broke down crying, and the whole time while he was in office, they cried. The whole time.
That Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing.
He's not our president. He's not our president. He's not our president. And then they have the nerve, the hypocrisy to say, well, dang it. You got to be able to say that the next person is the president, and this person won, Biden won, and you should respect it. But the whole 4 years you said that Trump wasn't your president.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating.
The
Trump derangement is real.
It really is real.
Yeah.
No, it really is real. And some of you suffer it like dramatically. And look, I'm not talking to the middle people like us. I'm talking to the ones that really have Trump derangement.
Like the hardcore ones.
You have a severe, like if you hear here's how you know you have it. If I say the name Trump and you instantly think white supremacy and oh my God, he tried to take over. If you really think that on January 6th, that they really try to take over the Capitol, you might have Trump derangement syndrome because all those dudes had more powerful weapons in their car.
Yeah,
you don't go attack. You don't go to a war. Go, oh, God, dude, did you bring it? No, I forgot it in the car. I got to go back to the car and get my gun. I left it in the car. That is not how you try to take over a Capitol.
No,
you actually bring your gun. You don't. You don't just walk in, pushing your uncle in a wheelchair,
waving flags.
That's not how you take over a Capitol.
No.
But some of you are like, I mean, seriously, you even say January 6th, and they're like, oh my God, I literally, I cried that day.
It's the most devastating thing ever.
It was the worst thing. I mean, really, what have we come?
My day did not change at all, man.
Dude, I was more worried when the whole world was on fire and there was a whole downtown taken over by
the mostly peaceful protests were burning down cities.
God, bro.
Yeah,
I'm seriously, dude. I mean, I don't know about you. I was locked and loaded, saying, if they come in this neighborhood, bro, because they were walking down neighborhoods, going, "You don't belong here," because this used to be a different kind of neighborhood, and you don't belong here.
Dude, I have a buddy of mine who's a cop here in Orlando. They were throwing bags of urine on them.
Oh, yeah.
But that's cool. Yeah, hey, man, don't worry about all that. Just don't wave a flag on the Capitol. Right? You can throw bags of piss on people.
So this is the same. There's a bunch of Twitter files, and you guys don't want to believe it. Look, if you guys just tell the truth, and I'm not talking to the politicians. I expect them to lie. But you guys as the following gang bangers, if you're just a gangbanger, you don't even hold a high position. Why are you defending your top gang leadership? Why don't you just question your leadership? Get a new leader in there, and we'll gladly respect you again. I would love to respect you again. I mean, for so much of my life, I voted in your direction. For all of my life, I voted in your direction because you always made the most sense. But now you're just so silly. You're just so ridiculous, and you're so obviously hypocritical that I can't even. I mean, I love the color blue. Red is my favorite color, but I love it. But blue looks good on me.
Sure.
Anyway, all right. I don't know what to do about this Russia thing.
Before we get to the,
I thought when you said we're going to talk about Russia, I thought it was going to be this Russia-Ukraine thing, and that I thought he did a ceasefire. I thought that was good news. I thought you were going to tell me that the war's over in Ukraine.
Well, before we get to the really controversial one, let's talk about this one real quick. The cardiac arrest, just briefly, only because that's another. What I don't like about it, right, is, okay, first and foremost, reason why we bring this up is yet again today, we find out that Lisa Marie Presley passed away from a cardiac arrest. She was 54, which is relatively young for cardiac arrest.
Thank you, because that's right.
It is.
I turned 54 this year.
So the thing that I've said, and we said it on last week's show, got a little bit of pushback on it, but I'm going to say it again anyways.
Okay.
When there's smoke, there's usually some sort of fire.
Okay.
And it bothers me that somehow we've turned this into a red blue thing, and it's not. It's a human thing, right? What pisses me off is, like, there is a possibility, right? Let's just get it out there in the sense that our government has proven that it's okay with lying to us. Tuskegee, all of our wars that we've been in, right? I don't think there's a single war that we got in that wasn't from some BS, right? Between the Lusitania that we basically let sink to the fake platoon to the fake weapons of mass destruction. Like, if you look at our history, every single one of our wars we got into, we were lied to.
Right.
Tuskegee, they were lied to. Agent Orange, our soldiers were lied to. Even right now, if you got a TV, you've probably seen Camp Lejeune. You know, that's a military institution, lied to our people. So I guess what I'm saying is the government's not exactly uncomfortable with lying to us.
Yeah.
So we already know that. It's a well-established fact. Then this virus shows up. Then we come out with these vaccines. Our current president and vice president both said during the debates that there's no way a good vaccine can be created in this amount of time, and I'm not taking it and everything else.
Right.
Then they became president, and then they pushed it when they could basically take credit for it. Okay, I get it. That's politics.
Yeah.
But within that time, it very well could be anecdotal. I don't have the data in front of me, but just from the eye test, it seems like a lot of people are having heart problems that are young, that are in shape, that are, take good care of themselves, that are just randomly dropping like flies right now from heart issues. And I'm not going to say it's because there's a meme going around, like some fake story about 780. I'm not talking about the obviously fake stuff. I'm just talking about the eye test, man. Every time I turn around, there's like another person who you wouldn't think would have a cardiac event is having one.
Yeah.
So my only thing is, and I'm not saying it is, all I'm saying is we should at least look into it.
Yeah. You're not even allowed to look into it.
Yeah. The fact that I even say that right now, there's a bunch of people who are listening whose buttholes are puckering up saying, oh, he's a right-wing conspiracy. I'm not right-wing, guys. I'm not a Republican.
Right.
But
and I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, I'm a human. And for me, from a humanistic standpoint, we could be, like little guinea pigs that they're injecting with this. Don't you think we should all care? Like, I don't. Like, it feels like a classic Wizard of Oz thing, right? Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. They're the ones who are pushing this vaccine, and we're all taking it, and then we're fighting amongst each other. I'm sorry, we didn't tell each other to take it; they told us.
Right.
And somehow we're mad at each other. So for me, it just doesn't make sense, and it's frustrating because it's like, guys, wake up. We could have potentially been, injected with something that is causing cardiac events, and we're too busy arguing over one another. We need to look into that. Like, we need to investigate and figure out what's going on here. Because, I mean, we just saw it last week. The Buffalo Bills, the guy had he's a 24-year-old elite athlete,
right,
who fell out with a heart condition.
And that same weekend, we did lose one. We actually lost the next football player.
Yeah.
Just fell out with a heart condition.
Well, but the guy, they're going to say, oh, he took a hit. It's unfortunate. Dude, you know how many hits like that? Thousands of hits a day happen when a football game happens. It's never happened. So you're not going to convince me that it's just law of average. No, it's never happened before, and now it has.
This is going to be the biggest lawsuit in history.
Yeah, like they did it with smoking, right? Oh, smoking's fine. It's healthy. Don't worry about it. Then they came out and realized, it causes cancer, and they paid a lot of money.
Right.
Opiates. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a great way to get rid of it. It's not addictive. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Look at the Sacklers. They're in debt now, and they're being sued by everybody because we found out they lied to us. So stop with this idea that if you want to question this mass vaccine that they gave to millions of people out of nowhere, just the fact that you wouldn't even look into it means you're stop. Grow up, dude. You're the problem. You are the reason why we're all gonna die now, because you're stopping people from taking a legitimate look at things. The same thing happened with the Wuhan thing, right? When it first came out, somebody mentioned before it might be a lab. They lost their mind. It was more believable in face value, and this is coming from somebody who's seen tons of movies. It was more believable that some poor person ate a bat and infected the whole world than it was to think a government was researching a virus and it somehow got out. I'm sorry. Every bioweapon movie I've ever seen, it was because some idiot did something stupid and it got out of the lab. But now all of a sudden it's more believable that some poor dude ate a bat and got the world's shut up.
Right.
Like, stop.
And every single movie that those same Hollywood people created and wrote always went, we have to find patient zero.
Yeah. And we didn't seem to care about it at all.
No, not one person in Hollywood made any noise about looking for patient zero.
And then fast forward a couple years, and we're finding out, oh, wait a minute, there might be something to that thing. This lab that we're funding in Wuhan, there might be something to it.
No, that came out day one. That came out day one, but it was immediately squashed.
I know, but they squashed it and said it was
I remember hearing it.
Yeah, and they said it was a right-wing conspiracy.
And I can't find it anywhere where I first heard it. But I remember, I think on one of our shows where we said, look, the funding, they were all mad at Trump cutting the funding for this research. And that was one of the labs. The Wuhan lab was one of the labs that he cut research. And it was millions. And I think we even reported the number of how many millions that he cut funding for. And then next thing you know, never was discussed again.
Nope. Well, no, anytime it did, you were called a right-wing nut job and it was suppressed.
And if you watch any shows that show us about past losses of scientists in our country and past outbreaks in our country, you'll find where there have been scientists that have now been linked to letting certain things out because they lost funding. So they ended up releasing viruses. They ended up releasing things and got in trouble for it. We found out later, or they had a cure or knew of something they weren't supposed to know and got killed or died of suicide, suspiciously suicide. There's tons of stories like that.
Yeah.
And yet you're right. You're right.
It just bothers me.
Cardiac arresting is scary because we have to at least be talking about it.
Yeah, and we're not. That's the thing that scares me.
Because we're being forced.
Yeah, that's what scares me is we're not even allowed to talk about it.
Right.
It's like, whoa, dude. It's one thing to not even be able to talk about like the wokeness that's happening, right? Like that, I can make that argument. But we're talking about like potential life or death here. We're not even like, hold up, dude. We should be able to talk about it. We should be able to have a discussion and let's look into some of this. So anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Here's the good thing is that most people, and I'm talking Crips and Bloods alike, are saying they're not going to get another booster.
Yeah, I'm not.
Just not going to do it. There's just too many questions and not enough answers. Yeah. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is the precedent that already got laid was that hospitals, institutions, businesses have the power to force us to get anything they want, or else they take away our livelihood. And we all did it. And I'm one of them. The only reason I even got a vaccine is because one of the companies that I travel and speak for said that you cannot travel and speak if you don't take it. And again, mind you, people, can we look up the definition of vaccine real quick, Trinity? Do you mind?
Sure.
You're the wordsmith. What is the actual definition of vaccine?
All right, let me see. Vaccine. The actual definition. Oh gosh, a bunch of CDC stuff came up.
Yeah, I don't want to see the CDC stuff.
No. Do you want the Webster's or whatever?
Yeah, I want Webster. Webster's the only one I really believe. Everybody else is
okay. Bullshit. I don't know if this is Webster or not, but a substance used to stimulate immunity to a particular infectious disease or pathogen.
Stop right there. Immunity. A vaccine. Yes. The definition of a vaccine is to give you immunity from something. People, this was not a vaccine. This, what they forced us to get, does not fit the definition of a vaccine, and yet all of us are calling it a vaccine. Yeah. It did not give anyone immunity. Not one person is immune because of that. What it did, and they even said it, what it does is that if you get it, that the likelihood of you will have a reduced level of symptoms, or a more ability to survive it than if you don't have it.
Less likely to die. Yeah,
that's it. They even told us it's not a vaccine, but we're calling it a vaccine. That's what they said. Yeah. It's not a vaccine, but we're calling it a vaccine. People, a vaccine, smallpox, that's a vaccine. Yep. The measles shot, that's a vaccine. Hell, even the flu shot is a vaccine.
Well, to that strand. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly, to that strand. You won't get that strand with that flu shot.
Yeah, you'll get the other current one.
But this was not a vaccine. And even from that was the biggest lie. And so, yes, I think this is going to be, and I got it, by the way, so don't attack me.
I got it too.
People, because
I had a cardiac event.
I stepped and fetched. Yep. And Trinity, you're still suffering that cardiac event. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped and fetched like you asked me to do. I fell in line like you asked me to do. I was a good soldier like you asked me to do. But this is going to be bigger than Camp Lejeune. This is going to be the largest lawsuit ever.
If we all make it that long,
Ever.
if we don't die of a cardiac
No,
event,
it's still going to be the largest lawsuit. It's just going to be given to our great grandchildren
kids,
who are
yeah.
going to have 3 eyeballs.
Yeah. Well, my
they're
kids
all-
didn't have them, so
They're all going to have like mini hearts.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, this will be an issue. There is no possible way that this is not going to be something.
Yeah.
Because this is look, we're seeing a lot of weird events and
Yeah.
I don't usually talk like this. But this is just way too. Anytime you see people forced to get something, and then later on we've got, asbestos is bad.
Yeah. Who knew?
That used to be part of the building code. You had to use it.
Lead and paint.
Lead and paint.
That's
bad?
a great idea.
Oh my God, people! This is your lead and paint. This is your asbestos.
Yeah.
This is your thing. Yeah, I don't know. And there's no way to do your research. By the way,
No.
I would love to say do your research, but
There's no, you can't.
but you'll find the equal number on both sides. So there's research, but it's on both sides, and so anything that is opposing your view, you're going to feel is a conspiracy theory, and everything on your side is going to be like truth because that's CDC.
Yeah.
But CDC has lied notoriously forever. I don't believe CDC.
Yeah, there's
First of all,
tons of things in
CDC
history
Yeah,
where they've gotten it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're all every morning coffee has roach poop in it, so according to my my allergy test, I'm allergic to roach poop. So every time I drink coffee, I'm creating a more allergic reaction. Trini,
Good, drink up, buddy.
Amen.
All right, so the next topic.
Yeah.
So you said you don't know anything about it.
No.
I'm gonna do my best to describe it as unbiased as I can.
Oh boy.
But this is gonna be the one I think we're gonna piss some people off if they watch it.
Oh boy.
So,
Okay.
Andrew Tate. He is I have yet to run into anybody with a middle ground on Andrew Tate. Rather, only people who obviously know about him.
Am I the only one that doesn't know who this dude is?
If you don't know anything about him, then I can understand and appreciate the middle ground. But anybody who knows anything about him, they are on either extreme, right? They're either on he is the most amazing thing out there and he's helping millions of people, or he is the Antichrist and he needs to die.
Whoa.
Yes,
That polarizing.
I'm not even playing. So,
Okay.
and for 2022, he was the most Googled person on Earth.
Okay. So who is he?
So I don't know even. All right, so he started out as like a kickboxer, right? Like an MMA kickboxer, kind of relatively no name, did his thing. And then he started going on and making podcasts and YouTube videos and whatnot. And he made his splash, if you will, by being very aggressive the way he speaks and very blunt and kind of edgy, we'll say, right? In other words, he'll say, instead of saying to somebody, hey, maybe that outfit doesn't make you look the best, you should try a different color, he'd come out and say it makes you look fat, like that kind of stuff.
So he speaks truth without a filter.
Yeah, well, he speaks his truth without a filter.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
And because one person's fat is another person's voluptuous.
I completely understood.
But so he was that guy, and the quote unquote realness of his speech, the no filter, the no political correctness, the anti-wokeness, made him very popular with a lot of men, especially the younger men, ages like 18 to like 30, right?
Why?
Because they related to it. Like he was one of the only ones that was really professing these things in a more vulgar, more in your face kind of tone, right? He wasn't trying to make anybody happy. He was saying, he was more into the old roles of men and women and, provider, protector, housemaker, that kind of stuff.
Not to the degree of, barefoot and pregnant though, or to that degree.
Depends on who you ask. See, that's the thing. I'm telling you that
that's how they heard it though. This guy's saying you should be barefoot.
So what made him controversial is men heard one thing and woke people and women heard a different thing. Okay. And I say woke people and women because it wasn't just women who are hating on him. It's also men. However, the majority of the men that I see I would probably classify as woke. I wouldn't like a lot of my friends that I talk to. So this is where the thing is, right? Everybody hated Trump. Everybody called him racist and whatnot.
Not everybody, but okay.
And when I heard it, I was just like, whoa. So I actually started looking into it. I was like, holy cow, is he really this bad? Like, what really caught me was the day on CNN when on the ticker it said racist tweet.
Right.
I immediately was like, holy shit. Like, whoa. I don't even remember what I was doing, but I think I stopped immediately. It was like, holy crap. What did he say? And what he said to me wasn't racist at all.
Right.
It was inappropriate. It was vulgar. It was kind of stupid. Racist, I wouldn't call it that. And that was what got me into the fight. That's what I started really looking into what he actually said versus what people were saying he said. And I realized it was only half of it was true.
Right.
Well, to me, Andrew Tate is the same way. When I heard about him because, dude, it was like there was memes everywhere. I don't know how you haven't heard his name. He's literally everywhere.
Listen. I had a thing. So
sure.
I've heard the name. I just
sure. Well, he's literally everywhere. Like everywhere. But then he got deplatformed all at once. YouTube, Twitter, they all just kicked him off.
Okay.
And that caused controversy, of course. And that was what got me paying attention. Up to that point, heard the name, never cared enough to look into it. Once he got deplatformed, that's why I was like, whoa, what did he say that was so appalling and so bad? I mean, did he kill somebody live on air or something? Like, I looked into what he was saying, and I would hear clips, right? But then I would look at not just a 12-second clip, I would look at the 5-minute conversation.
Okay.
And within that 5-minute conversation, when you have the proper context, doesn't sound bad at all, right? Like, is it stuff that I would say the way I would say it? Maybe when I was like 20. You know, where I'm at now in my life, I don't think I would say it quite the same way.
Right.
But I also don't get offended by words that people use half the time. I understand where they're coming from.
Right.
Even though I wouldn't use the word. But I can see how other people would get offended. And so I would hear their interpretation of what he said. And then what happened is enough of those people with enough voice said it, and that just became the truth.
Okay.
And so he is literally one of the most hated men on the planet right now, or one of the most beloved, depending on which circle you're talking to. You can't deny his fame at the moment. Like I said, in 2022, he was the most Googled person on earth.
Right.
He's apparently got tons of money. He's been very successful. But right now, he was arrested a few days ago, or like a week ago. He lived in Romania. They arrested him. They said it was something about like trafficking, sex trafficking, or something like that.
Well, this is why we're talking about him. Okay.
He came out and said a while back that they don't like what I'm saying. They're deplatforming me, and this is how they're going to get rid of me. And he laid it out, and then it happened. And so some people were saying he was just telling on himself. Other people saying they're trying to go after him. There was definitely collusion to get rid of him off of social media. They all just agreed one day, just like they did with Trump, where they just deplatformed and got rid of him. There's numerous interviews out there where people try to have I got you moments. And to me, he stands up really well against most of them. And that's not to say, once again, that he's appropriate for every conversation. I'm not sure I'd want my son listening to him at the moment. And not because I think he's bad, but because I don't think my son is ready to understand the nuances of what he's saying. I don't think anybody should take him at what he says, but I don't think you should do that to anybody. But anyways, the reason why we're talking about him is just because he is a major figure at the moment that is drawing lines with people. The undercurrent for me, if we're going to take this bigger picture, what I've noticed in the last few years is anytime somebody wants to stand up for men's rights in today's world, they immediately get made out to be the bad guy. I think that it is not convenient right now. Like, I think that what's been happening in the last decade is the trashing of men, like the feminization of men, like toxic masculinity. Like, that's a word now, even though we've already discussed this. We had a show on Dharma Time. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. It doesn't exist. There's bad behavior, but that's not inherently masculine behavior. It's just bad behavior. But at the same token, nobody talks about toxic femininity, right? That word isn't even, it's not in the lexicon at all. And so,
unless you go to a bar and then right here about it.
So I think he fell victim to that, to be honest with you. He was standing up for men's rights, and he was doing it in a very vulgar way. And the powers that be just squashed him like a cockroach. And I think that's why we're talking about him. And rumor has it, they tried to arrest him once before, and he was exonerated. It was found that it was all BS. It happened again, and he's currently, I don't know what he's at the moment. They say he's in jail at the moment in Romania, pending a trial. but he's tweeting. So who knows where he's at? But that's why we're talking about it.
Wait, I'm lost on why we're talking about. Wait a minute. So he's currently arrested or got arrested?
Yeah, he's arrested at the moment again.
But what's the charge?
I don't know if there is a charge. They're saying like sex trafficking, but then
Okay.
the girls that were involved in it are coming out and saying no, that didn't happen. That's not true. But then they have what appears to be tape of him like having a conversation with somebody, telling her that he liked. He's glad that she liked him raping her or something like that. Like, I don't know if it's actually his voice or not, and who knows what kind of comment. It's a lot of weird stuff that's happening. But the reason why anybody cares is because he's so polarizing.
Well, I guess here's where I go with it, and I know Jack about the story clearly.
Sure.
But where I go with it is in the fact that just because he may or may not be a child sex trafficker or sex trafficker doesn't mean the other stuff he did was not justifiable, or the comments he made weren't comments that should be said or heard. I don't know. And I think that's the hard part about human behavior, right? It's like we judge each other sometimes by one thought, moment, or sentence. And then that means it invalidates everything else. But that is not reality, right? For instance, in sport, if you fail to make a touchdown, right? We're about to watch, the playoffs.
The 49ers are going to win it all.
That's right. So if, like you guys had Jimmy G, and Jimmy G missed a throw to the touchdown, screwed it up. From that point forward, you couldn't find a 49ers fan that says, I love Jimmy G. I want Jimmy G as our quarterback. It was done. It was that one pass, regardless of the 5,000 other passes. That didn't matter anymore. The only pass that mattered from that point forward was that missed opportunity.
There were several, but go ahead.
But that's the way we view people, right?
Sure.
And that's and I get it.
What have you done for me lately?
I get it. Not only lately, but how bad did you hurt me when you messed up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we have to understand that all of us do this to somebody. All of us cross the lines with
You're
somebody.
a villain in somebody's story.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in his thing, again, it doesn't mean it shouldn't invalidate all the other things he ever did, but I could see the aha moment for those people to go, I knew he was this, and I knew he was that, and I know he was a piece of junk.
Well, that's not the debate, though. The debate right now is whether he has any validity in what he says or if he's just the worst person on earth. The arrest or whatever just recently came up in the last week or two. He's been the most controversial person probably for the better part of a year. Like, this is just the reason why we even know about this is because we're already hyper aware of who he is because of the things he says. There's
you
there's
think
two
he's
camps.
more controversial than Trump?
Yeah, I think he's right up there with him. I think he evokes the same emotional response from people who know about who he is. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think everybody knows who this guy is.
A lot of people. He was the number one search person in the world, man.
But a lot of people don't even bother with searches and stuff like that. There's a lot, you know what I mean? That's
the thing that Trump mostly pissed off people in America. This dude is pissing off people all over the world. Like, all over the world. What's his name? Piers Morgan just had him on a show not too long ago, and it was the most viewed show he's ever had. Like,
love Piers Morgan.
Most of his views, are hundreds of thousands.
So this is the guy you told me to go watch that interview.
Yeah, well, one of the guys. There was two guys I told you to watch the interview, but this dude, his show was like 4 million or something like that, and Piers' numbers are usually like a couple 100,000. This dude was 4 million. Like,
except for the Ronaldo one. The Ronaldo one was pretty.
Maybe I didn't look at that one, but the point is just there is a weird movement right now of pro him and anti him, and I think to me it's interesting because face value, if you don't have any critical thinking, if you just listen to what you hear, I can absolutely hear why you think he's the worst person. Like, it's despicable behavior and he's influencing people. But then, for whatever reason, everybody's stopping there. They're not taking a few minutes to listen, like I said, to the context or to the interviews. And what he's saying, actually, I think like I'd say a large majority of what he says, I actually believe in. Like I actually think he's spitting out some real good knowledge. Do I think he's packaged it the best? No. Go ahead.
Can we do something here?
What's that?
Can you Google top 10 comments made by Andrew Tate? Or
Okay.
top 10 most controversial comments made. Let's walk these down.
Okay.
Because I feel so disarmed in this conversation because I don't know what. Ever since you said he got arrested for sex trafficking, that's all I can think about this guy now.
That's what they wanted supposedly.
What's working?
Yeah,
it's working.
Okay. Here says, this is
Okay.
I have no
One comment
context
at a
to
time.
this.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I just
No
Googled it, and
Okay.
the title of the article is "The 8 Worst Things Andrew Tate Has Said."
I knew there would be something.
Yeah.
Oh, there was only 8. See, they couldn't even get 10. There's never just a
No,
top 8,
there was
by
other
the way.
links. This is just the first link.
I know, but there's never just a top 8. That person got lazy.
Yeah.
Who did that article?
Jonathan Greenall and this
Jonathan,
article
you're
is from WeGotThisCovered.com. I don't know anything about this
Yeah,
place.
exactly. Nobody knows who he is.
Let me see. Hopefully they helped me out and highlighted them. Here we go. Number 8.
Okay, number 8.
If you put yourself in a position to be, I don't know what, R and then 3 stars in the D, you must bear some responsibility. I think that means raped. That's my guess.
Oh,
If you
is
put
it one of
yourself-
those that they don't even say the word?
Yeah,
It's a triggering word? Okay, go ahead.
If you put yourself in a position to be raped, you must bear some responsibility. And it says part of a Twitter rant about the Harvey Weinstein case. This entire rant was controversial due to its misogynistic and victim blaming elements.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Now,
right,
we were
go
going to
ahead.
do a show about
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
And it's still on our list. We're
It's
going
on the
to,
list.
for those of you who are curious.
It's on the list.
But I would say that what he said there, once again, is it packaged well? No, of course not.
Right.
But the intent behind it,
Right.
I agree with. And what I mean by that is I'm never going to blame a victim. But I'm also going to teach my daughters to not go to like some party and get so blackout drunk that they don't know what's happening.
Right.
So I'm not blaming them, but I'm going to teach them to handle them in a way to where you don't intentionally or unintentionally put yourself in a dangerous position. To me, that's what he's trying to say. But what they hear is victim blaming and misogyny.
I don't know what he's trying to say, but that's what I hear. What I heard is exactly what you said. So here's what I hear. And by the way, people, have you ever told, those of you that have a daughter, have you ever told them the following? You're not going to wear that. Don't you go change. That is ridiculous. You're not, don't always have your eye on your drink. Don't take drinks from anybody else. Be very careful. When you go to a bar or go to a night out, go in packs, go in groups. Don't walk out alone. Buzz is one thing. Getting drunk is another. So be very careful. Stay buzzed. Make sure you have somebody that's sober with you. Have a sober person that's constantly, there should always be at least somebody sober in the group. Don't go hang out with if you're at a club or a bar, don't go to anybody's house afterwards that you don't know. The after party situation, be very careful of after party invites and who you go with and how you go. Never leave your friend alone. If your friend is drunk and they want to stay with somebody that you don't know, some guy says he'll take her home or he'll take care of her, don't leave your friend. If you've ever said any of those things, then you also agree with the sentence that this man just made. Again, not validating that he said it correctly, but all of us, when you have a daughter, you give her sentences. Hopefully, you give her sentences. You give her advice. You give her things that you hope put her in the most advantageous position to not be a victim. And you cannot say that you give advice for someone how not to be a victim if you can't also say the sentence that there are things that you do that can make you a more potential victim. Because if one thing is true, then the opposite is also true.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What's the next one? Unless you want to expand on that.
I'll just expand on some of the ones that I'm reading here because that one was hard because they they blocked out so many words. I don't even know what the word is to comment on it appropriately. Yeah. I do know one. I'll just take the ones that I heard from the Piers Morgan interview. One of them was, the other one he said was he was given a scenario and see, this one I 100% believed. I agree 100% with what he was saying, how he packaged it. He was basically saying that he should have a certain amount of authority over a woman that he's expected to protect. And what he was basically saying is, and I'm not paraphrasing here, he actually went on in further context, and so these are his words. I'm not just imagining my own definition here. He did reiterate what he was saying was, if he is protecting like his wife, if he is tasked with the protection of her safety, in other words, if they're out walking around somewhere and something happens to her, they're going to look at him and say, why didn't you protect your wife?
Right.
And so his stance is, if that's the case, then he should have some authority to tell her, hey, it's 2:00 in the morning. I don't want you walking down to the store by yourself.
Mhm.
And that was misogynistic and everything else.
Mhm.
That's what he was literally saying was,
Mhm.
I should have enough authority to be able to tell my wife, no, you're not walking down to the store at 2:00 in the morning by yourself.
Mhm.
And that pissed everybody off because he used the word authority.
I was going
Now-
to say the word authority is probably
Yeah.
the word, right?
But once again, because I'm, a critical thinker, the word authority doesn't bother me,
Right.
right? Because the
Right.
word authority, when you look at what my wife gives me authority. I
Right.
didn't take it from her. She
Mhm.
willingly gives me authority in certain situations. And I have actually done that exact thing.
Mhm.
There was a time early on in our relationship. There's 2 instances I'll tell you about. The first instance, this was early on before we were even married. She was here at the house. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. She gets a call from her uncle. His car is on the side of the road, and he needs somebody to bring him like a battery and some tools or something so he can fix it real quick. She gets up and starts like getting dressed to go. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm gonna go help. I was like, no, I'll go. Like, I got this. Like, you could come if you want, but I'm not gonna. She's like, I've done this before. So I was like, I don't care what you've done before. That was before me. I'm not going to let you go at like 11 o'clock at night and sit on the side of the road to help. No, not
Mhm.
going to happen.
Mhm.
Because A, I want you to be safe.
Mhm.
B, what's the first thing people are going to say if she goes out there and something happens?
Mhm.
Why was she out there by herself in the first place? It
Mhm.
wouldn't be she made a dumb decision. It'd be, why did you let that happen?
Right.
And so I was like, no, not going to happen. I'll go with you. Like, you can, we'll do this together, but I'm not about to sit here by myself at 11 o'clock at night and watch you
Mhm.
walk out the door to go help somebody on the side of the road.
Mhm.
Not going to happen. Second one was actually a few months ago after we were already married. We our daughter was trying to borrow our electric car and didn't understand that you had to keep a charge on it. So she was on the side of the road on I-4, I think it was, Interstate 4, something like that, one of those roads out there. And it was like same thing. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And they called us up. They couldn't go anywhere. So we went out there to go pick them up and help them. And I found out I can get the car towed, but we had to get our son to his house in Tampa. She wanted me to leave her there in her car on the side of the road that's broken down to take him to his house and come back and get her.
Mm.
And I told her, not going to happen. And she's like, well, I don't want to leave my car here by itself. I was like, I don't really give a shit. Like, well, then we're all going to stay here. Like, I am not about to leave you by yourself in this car, like on the side of the road at 2 o'clock in the
Right.
morning, like in a car that doesn't work. Like, no.
Right.
And so I think most men would agree with that. I think
Right.
most women would even agree with that.
Right.
Well, that's the definition of authority. I had the
Mhm.
authority in that moment to say, not going to happen.
Right.
Right. Now, she could have fought me on that. That's fine. But I wasn't like, she even tried. She was just like, well, no. I was like, okay, well, then we're all going to just sit here. Like, I
Mhm.
can't make you do that, but you damn sure can't make me either. So I'm going to just sit right here.
Right.
And then that's when she finally gave in. I was like, okay, yeah, he makes sense. I was like, you're fucking right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that to me is what he's saying
Okay.
about that. But the word
100% agree.
authority pissed everybody off and says that you don't have the authority over a woman and blah, blah, blah. And like, I didn't understand the problem everybody had with it. But dude, a lot of people, it was on the list, by the way, I just read. It was on the list of the most toxic things that he said. So what are your thoughts?
I 100% agree with you. I think that I think authority is a strong word. It's all based on however, God, this dog is making all these. I got one of those old dogs. You know what I mean? I get it. You can't. You got something in your throat. Kick it out, kid. So I get that authority could be a very serious word for some of you, depending on your issues, but you got to realize it's because of your issues. It's not because of the actual word itself. Like Trinity said, the actual word itself, we grant people authority in our life. We grant people a certain levity, right? Not levity, leeway in our life to be able to give us feedback. And so as a partner, you tend to do that to each other. You grant them the ability to say things to you that they feel they have to say for whatever reason that they feel like they have to say. And I think you're correct. I think that if my wife in that exact scenario that you said wanted to go somewhere at 2 a.m. in the morning, I've been in a situation where I am the one, even though I want to stay exactly where I'm at 2 a.m. in the morning,
Exactly.
I've been the one to get up and go and do something if it actually had to be done.
Yeah,
It could even be go downstairs.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be outside, like walking the dog at night, late at night. I will get up out of it. And that's why she praises me for that. She goes, man, you're so good with the dogs, even though I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I there's just certain things that I feel more comfortable that if someone's going to be in danger, let it be me.
Yep.
Same. And so I think it's a level of responsibility of being that person in the relationship. And I don't think you can pick and choose what things we can be involved with and what things we cannot be involved with, because I think that's the real trend that we see, right? It's like we're being told by these people that create these scenario or these narratives that here are the things that men should be like and should not be like. So, look, how would you feel if I wrote that? If a man would write anything that would say this is what a woman should be and what a woman should be, you wouldn't like it one freaking bit. Yeah. So how is it that we're going to be okay with you defining what a man?
And that's why I think that he's in so much trouble, is because he stands up for that. Like, for instance,
good.
I've heard the phrase so many times in my life. Well, you're not a man, right?
I've
never heard you're not a woman from anybody. Like, it's never even like, a woman is something you become. A man is something you have to earn, like somehow, and it can be taken from you. Like, that's why I think he's in trouble.
Yeah,
is because he is anti that directive. And the people are pushing back, and I get it, dude. Right? Yeah. The old school days of like the John Waynes and the Clint Eastwoods and stuff of like slapping women around and telling them no. I get it.
Wait. Like Clint Eastwood, don't put Clint Eastwood in. No, he didn't slap nobody around.
I didn't say he did. You inferred that, but that's not what
you
I said.
You said the old days of the John Wayne and the Clint Eastwood and slapping women around. You put him in that sentence.
No, and so that mentality, right? That machismo mentality. And then also the physical violence and the beating them around and just women don't have rights and all this sort of those old school days of that, they were horrible. I don't know if anybody who says that those were good. Right. However, we can't throw away all of those traits that we saw in men. Yeah. Like there was a lot of good traits in those as well.
Right.
And I think that they've gone so far overboard right now. and I understand that they're upset, and I understand it. I get it, but stop. Because what you're doing isn't working. And that's what's happening. If you come out now and you push back against that, you're now misogynistic, you're an asshole, you're all these things. Right. And I just don't agree with them.
The reality is that the very popular movie 50 Shades of Grey wasn't some little twerp, dude.
Yeah. And he wasn't exactly massaging her feet either.
Wasn't this little, bearded hipster.
No.
It wasn't.
No. But that's where
all I kept thinking is like, man, there is nobody in Hollywood making a movie about one of these little bearded hipsters being the guy that they all want. No. It's always the asshole. So you've projected this image for 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, of course.
You never have allowed the nice guys to really get the girl until after they've already tasted the bad boy. You allow them to get the good guy, but you allow them to go have sex with, kiss, get hurt by the bad guy first, then go, oh, he was here the whole time. So stop it. Just stop it. Stop it.
He actually said another one. I don't want to mess up his quote, but I will say that he did say something along the lines one time about that too, which was essentially, I'm going to have to paraphrase some of it because once again, I don't have the exact quote in front of me.
Yeah.
But it was along the lines of, why would a man, if he has the choice, why would he choose like a 28-year-old who's been with other men versus a 19-year-old virgin? It was his stance, but he was also talking to a Muslim man at that time. Mm-hmm. That's the context of the conversation. But and his whole thing was, I think what pissed him off, what pissed people off, was he made the comparison to used goods or whatever, like somebody's already been there, that kind of a thing. Mind you, you say whatever you want, dude. Like every locker room on the planet has had dudes talking about that. Like they have a word for it. It's called sloppy seconds. Like let's not pretend that he's the only dude on the planet that's ever mumbled those words.
Well, women
but
do too.
exactly.
Yeah, and women do too.
Exactly.
By the way, we always talk about locker rooms. Let's talk about locker rooms.
Oh boy.
Because you guys got us in a place where you fool some men. Like you got some men thinking that you guys don't talk at all in your locker rooms. Yeah.
Hell, they don't even need a locker room. They need brunch with the girls.
But God, that's my point. So for guys, it's called a locker room or a bar thing, right?
Yeah.
With women, we see it. You see, you guys forget there's the Real Housewives of this, the Real Housewives of that.
Yeah.
There's so many reality shows where we have now heard. We always knew it existed.
Yeah.
We always knew it, but now we have seen so countless numbers of reality shows where as soon as you get a couple women together, they're always talking about our size. They're talking about our abilities. They're talking about how good we are, how bad we are. You guys are ruthless in what you talk about us. By the way, we don't talk half as bad as you guys do about you. We really don't.
No.
Everything you hear,
we talk more about sports and cars. To be honest with you,
right. I'm serious. I don't recall conversations where we sit around and go, and I can't even say it. We don't talk about your genitalia the way you guys talk about our genitalia. We don't talk about your abilities as much as you talk about our abilities. Now, some of us are cool with it. Some of us are not cool with it. But can you imagine? There's a lot of guys out there that have deep-rooted psychological issues due to that. You have scarred guys for life because you loved him. He was your favorite. You're going to marry him. And then he pissed you off one day. And all of a sudden, you're such a little itty bitty man. You take your little toothpick.
That's always the go-to. Their first when they go to is always
exactly.
That's little. No matter what it is.
Yeah. This guy could be an 8-inch, 10-inch monster.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
She can tell
when you're mad at him, that is your go-to. And I'm telling you, you know it's true, ladies. So stop it. Stop acting like no. You guys are brutally vicious.
Yeah,
you're vicious.
Yeah,
and it's okay. It's okay to be vicious because we get it. When people are hurt, we have to understand they're going to get a little vicious. They're going to say things they don't mean. That's all I'm saying. So
there's a show I was watching the other day. This was on network television, and in the thing, the lady had sex with this guy. It was a supervisor or whatever. And by all they enjoyed it. They were fine, but then she broke a rule or something like that. And so he had to fire her. Well, she got upset because she thought that, hey, we had sex. Why would you fire me? And his stance was, I'm still in a supervisor role. What you did was unacceptable. You had to be fired. And then her answer back to him was, by the way, you sucked in bed. And then I think my mom and my the women in my life laughed at that, whatever.
Yeah.
And my first instinct was I'm sorry, was there not two people involved in that situation? What if he turned around and says, well, you sucked? I don't know. But that's the thing is it's socially acceptable to just trash men right now. And because he doesn't allow that, I think he's taking absurd amount of heat. I do. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff he says is kind of weird and I don't really agree with it. But I'd say about 85 to 90% of what he says, I think there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
I just think he packages it in such a way. The only one that I thought was
it works for him. If he packages, in other words, you wouldn't be talking about it the way we're talking about it if he didn't package it that way, though.
True. Well, he also might not be sitting in jail at the moment, too, if he didn't package it that way. However, he's also got 32, $100-some thousand cars and mansions and everything else. So he's doing something right. One of the other ones that he did mention one time that I thought was on the Piers Morgan one. Okay. So he pisses off women and he pisses off what he would consider to be non-alpha males. And then he also took his turn pissing off mental health because he made a comment about mental health saying that depression isn't real, that it's even when he said it, I didn't quite understand what I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I wanted to hear him make his point because I think it was a philosophical point, not a medical point. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a big difference. And And he was essentially saying because he doesn't believe in depression, he can't be depressed. Other words, he just didn't the term depression. It was just basically I'm not doing well. I need to, get out of this somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And I understood. I think I was trying to understand the point he was making, and I think it was probably a good point. But because he was trying to say it in such a brash way, it just shut everybody down instantly.
Yeah, that's that's one of those topics that everybody wants to diagnose themselves. And I think we talked about this either on Dharma
Yeah.
Time or on the Couch Live, where there's so many of you that are just diagnosing yourself with whatever, depression, anxiety, whatever. There's a difference between sadness and depression. There's a difference between, anxiety and generalized anxiety or an anxiety disorder. There's a difference between anger and rage.
Right.
Or being happy and being ecstatic. I think we love to go to the polarities of everything and instantly diagnose ourselves to get whatever feedback or outcome we want. For instance, if we want people to feel sorry for us or to use it as an excuse for something, then we're going to go to that heavy word. Whereas we all have it to some degree, but if it's not debilitating, it's not debilitating. And there's a difference between debilitating and you just didn't handle your business because, or you just couldn't do something because. And I think that's where it becomes an issue. And as a counselor, I don't try to talk people out of having a disorder, but I do tell them what we're trying to do is we got to rule out the disorder. What we do is don't rule in, we rule out. There's a reason that physicians, mid-levels, therapists rule out problems. Because we're trying to prove that it's not trying to prove that it is. And so many of you are always trying to rule it in. You're trying to find a way to justify that you have the problem that you think you have.
Right.
Whereas in medicine and in therapy, we try to rule out the problem because we don't want you to have it. You don't want to have it. You really don't. So many of you joke things like we're talking about men, for instance. So many men use, incorrectly, like joke about, I might be a sex addict, and they laugh like it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And
no, you're not.
when they do that in a group scenario, I like to say, well, if you were a sex addict, you wouldn't mind, having sex with a goat then, because it doesn't, the true definition of that addiction can put you in scenarios where you'll have sex with anything for anything, and you lose all barriers and all structure of how it's done appropriately with the right emotion. And they're like, well, and then it's different, then it's a different conversation. The actual addiction is a very serious thing. But when you take medical terms and you put them in general society, you get these issues: depression, anxiety, alcoholism, drug addiction. These are all like medical things that we've now turned into regular everyday words. And it's so funny because all through Instagram, you'll see, early 20s, whatever, be the expert on these mental health issues because they have it and because they went to therapy. And it's like, you're not an expert because you have it. You're not an expert because you're in therapy. You could be a good help to somebody. You're a great help for somebody and very useful in the recovery for other people, but not an expert. And I think that's, unfortunately, I think that's where we're at. We're at a point, and we kind of always been at a point, right? You expect someone with horses to be an expert in horses. Well, there's a lot of people with horses that are just bad owners of horses, right? How many people have you met that own dogs all their life, but they treat dogs like shit? They have no idea how to train them. None. Yeah. They're still beating the shit out of their dogs to get them to do something, right? And you've said it many times. This is why I'm using the dog thing. You've said it many times. How do you get a dog to do something?
Treats, rewards.
That's it.
Dopamine.
Yet how many people that own dogs don't do that?
Rub their face in something.
See, so just because you own a dog doesn't make you an expert in dogs, how to treat dogs, how to raise dogs, how to train dogs, or anything. That is very. I drive cars all the time. Brother, I'm telling you, I don't even know how to change the oil. Whatever. There's people for that. So those are the realities of things like this. And so, if somebody exposes it and says it, it should be allowed to be exposed and talked about.
Yep. I think for him, I think he says stuff for shock value, right? Like it reminds me of Howard Stern, right? If Howard Stern would have come out as Howard Stern today,
right,
I think he would be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite things of Howard Stern back in the day when I was first introduced to him.
Yeah,
I remember I don't remember what it was. It was probably early middle school.
No.
I had like insomnia one time. It was like, I don't know, I didn't sleep for like 3 or 4 days. It was weird. And I was laying in my room back in the day when you remember the 3-piece stereos, right? The 2 speakers and the deck in the middle.
Yes, sir.
I had one of those in my room. And I was listening to Real Radio 104.1, right?
Mhm.
And I was listening to Drew, whatever his name is.
Drew Garabo.
Drew Garabo.
Yeah, we had a fight. I know the guy.
I was listening to his overnight because he was always playing Beastie Boys stuff, right?
He's a punk.
And then one morning, Howard Stern came on. And I think I might have heard the name before. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about him. But they were playing his stuff. And I remember, I heard probably the first couple of shows and I was hooked immediately. I just loved what this dude was saying.
Right.
Because, and the exact thing that he was talking about was a woman was calling in. And I don't know why people kept calling in either. Like they were gluttons for punishment. It was weird. You knew he was going to trash you, but you'd call him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
A woman called in to ask help for losing weight. And I don't remember the entire thing because it was so long ago, but the phrases that stuck in my head that I thought were the funniest thing I've ever heard that he said on air, like I could not believe I was hearing this, was he told the lady, he's like, all right, get your fat self in your minivan. Can you even get in there? Does it hit the steering wheel? Can you even fit in there anymore? And then he said, take your phone and dial the number. Can you even dial the numbers? Do you need like a dialing wand because your fingers are too fat to hit the thing? Those are the things that I remember him talking about. And I thought they were the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like I was laying there in middle school hearing that just like rolling in laughter. Like I could not believe what I was hearing.
Right.
And if that dude were to just, you removed him from history and introduced him now, he'd be canceled after the first show.
Yeah,
they dropped him like a hot potato.
And they tried to then.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
But for some reason, the same people that were trying to cancel
it.
The reason they kept hiring him is because for some reason people wanted to see him throw baloney at strippers' asses. I just don't know how it worked, but it did. I remember the first time Howard Stern came into this market, Orlando market, because I was on radio on a competitive station, Rock 100 DIZ. Back when Captain Chris Hill was at DIZ, and I was at DIZ with him. So Captain Chris Hill was on the overnights, and I was on the morning show with the morning show guys, and they caught me. I was in the producer booth, and I was listening, and I was like, 21 years old, 22 years. I was listening to the brand new Howard Stern, and at that point in time, he just came to JR. It was Real Radio. It was Real Radio. It was his very first broadcast on Real Radio, and I was listening to him. And I was laughing, and the guys are looking at me from the other side, and they're going, "What's Louis listening to? Why is he laughing?" Because they know they didn't just tell a joke that I'm rolling laughing.
Right.
But I had never heard Howard Stern. I only heard of Howard Stern, but I never heard him. And I'm sitting there laughing my ass off, and these dudes, all of a sudden, I hear it in my ear, "Louis, what are you listening to? Because you sure aren't listening to our show." And we're live on the air. And I had to admit, live on the air, I was listening to a competitive radio station.
I'm sure that went over well.
We lasted probably another couple months before we lost our gigs because Howard Stern took over this market morning show like you would not believe. Yeah. Why? Because of what you just said. Because he was saying things that people were thinking, not just guys, by the way, even though it tends to be that young guy that you don't want to. Yeah. By the way, real Howard Stern fans, it's like you don't want to ever shake their hand. If you come to me and you tell me Howard Stern is your number one, we're doing a fist pump, brother. I'm not shaking your hand. I'll do an Asian bow, brother. I don't want to touch you. Please don't touch me. However, the women liked him too. The women liked his rawness and his rootiness. And let me tell you something. The amount of we would get all of a sudden when Howard Stern started doing what he did on Real Radio here in town. All of a sudden, our guys started inviting more strippers to our show, and they were. Oh, I'm telling you, they loved that kind of. So, I'm just saying.
To me, I think that's what the appeal for Andrew Tate is because at the moment right now, it's not as easy to get a hold of that, right? Like they all kind of like went away. The Andrew Dice Clays went away. The Howard Sterns, Howard Stern.
Oh my God, Howard! I mean Dice. I love Dice.
But Howard Stern was on America's Got Talent. You know what I mean? Like they're all like they're neutered now, right? They're not as offensive as they were. So it's hard to find that. And then the ones that do that are usually going to be on YouTube and stuff. They're not going to be on.
Or they just say it different. They do it different. Bubba the Love Sponge is still on radio. He just says it different.
And so I think that was the appeal. Is yes, I think I think he says some stuff that we kind of agree with. I think deep down, if I were to remove his name from it and if I were to reword it in a more pretty sounding way, I think people would agree with the majority of what he says. I really do.
You just hit on a future show. So,
Okay.
Trinity, we've seen things like that where we see a sentence and it says, "Who do you think said it?" or "How do you feel about it?" And then
They
when
did
you
that in the election.
yeah, and when you find out who said it, you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
If we did a show on that, just quotes
Right.
and how you feel about the quotes without knowing who did it, who said it, and then find out who said it, I think that'd be cool.
Well, they did that with Trump and Biden during the election.
I know. That's what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
it was surprising.
It was funny. But I think that's why he's in so much trouble right now. It's just because he's saying things that like people want to hear, and that's why he's so popular. But then people we're in a weird outrage society. Everybody's trying to be the most outraged. It's like an outrage competition, well, you're outraged. Well, I'm outraged even more, and so I think people are just latching on to him, and he's risen to the top. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah. By the way, Howard Stern, I think, is the only person that is even still allowed to be somewhere and did blackface openly. He did it on his show all the time. He did blackface all the time. Every time he would go do an interview, he'd go on Johnny Carson or whatever with a blackface on.
Well, he outlasted other ones too. What was that? Linus in the Morning or whatever was the original shock jock.
Yeah.
He got fired.
Yeah.
What's his name?
The guy out west. He passed away now, but Man Cow.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard of him.
Man Cow was another shock jock. Yeah.
Well, Rush Limbaugh was a shock jock, sort of. Not as bad, but
that's
sort
more
of
political minded. Yeah, but that's more political.
But he even left. He even got out of the mainstream because of that. I mean, he still did his thing, but
I guess look,
Howard Stern outlasted them all.
Yeah. To start putting some closure on this, I guess the real thing is that look, there's guys like Andrew Tate that if a guy's name makes you shiver, based on what you heard a person say,
ask one little 10-second clip of what they said.
Ask yourself: is it what is it that he's really saying, and how am I interpreting what he's saying? Because we all tend to be hypocrites when it comes to other people's language. We do. We see the hypocrisy right now with the Crips and the Bloods, with the Biden documents, which is why we talked about it today. We see the hypocrisy, with the Russia collusion and all the potential China relationships and Ukrainian relationships that we saw with Biden's, versus Trump. I mean, we see it all the time. So let's all continue to question each other. Let's all continue to at least question what we're hearing by all levels of authority, not just the Bloods authority or not just the Crips authority. Both gangs authorities. They both tend to say things that are ridiculous at times, and they both tend to say things that are actually right on point at times. And we need to be able to call it out when we hear it. Right now, we're hearing, just to again close up. We started with the Biden documents. Right now on news, it says fully cooperating with DOJ. That's all they keep pushing. That man, not that he did something illegal, not that he did something that he absolutely should not have done. Not that he's a hypocrite because he said that he could not believe how irresponsible Trump was for having documents at Mar-a-Lago, but instead what they're focused on, he's fully cooperating. Well, you don't go to jail or not jail for fully cooperating. You go to jail for doing the offense. It's the offense that is criminal or non-criminal. It's not the cooperation. The cooperation is just secondary. When you know you're dead to rights, of course you're cooperating. Even Sammy the Bull Gravano cooperated, but that didn't make him less of a murderer. You know what I mean? He cooperated. So
Jeffrey Dahmer told everything.
Yeah. So you don't go, oh, you cooperated. Oh, then you didn't do what you did. No, you still did what you did, and certain people will still hold you accountable for that, regardless. So anyway, pretty much done with all this, and
man.
On to
good.
Now. Are we doing a show Monday? Now, look, we haven't done so many Monday shows, and now it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and what do we do?
Oh. You know what? I don't know. I don't know what we do because I'm supposed to be in Tampa on Monday, but I think I should be back before.
I don't even know if we're supposed to work on Monday.
I don't know either.
That might be highly offensive to work on Monday. I think we're supposed to just take it off, Trinity. We're like, I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I'll let you throw the call in.
Thanks for that.
I love you being the one to communicate with him, man.
And I hate that, by the way. But
do you really? Do you really hate that responsibility?
I just always feel like the bad kid who's got to go to his mom and tell him he broke a glass. You know what I mean? I always feel like, oh God, hey man, just so you know. But
Lou's out of town.
Oh, I blame you every time. By the way, I don't care if it's me. No. That's the trade-off. If I'm gonna have to be the one to make the
All right.
phone call, I throw you so far under the bus
And you
every
know
single
what?
time.
And you tell them I'm in a Martin Luther King Jr. parade in another state.
As long as they don't watch the show. Well, actually, I think I'll be in Tampa visiting Trevor. By the way, we haven't seen him in a while. So, but I'm hoping. I think we should be back before then. But
All right.
we'll figure it out. So,
all right, brother.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, give me a day off because I don't want to, I'll take the
There you
holiday,
go.
brother. I'll take every holiday.
It's technically a holiday, so
it is a holiday.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. All right, brother. You got any last words on this?
I would agree with you, man. Like just in general, context is important. You know, stop listening to because you could take 10 seconds out of anybody's day, you know, and make them sound like the worst human being on the planet without context, right? Like everything that we said on here, if you just cut it and pasted it, it could sound horrible unless you hear what we're talking about or how we're saying it. So give everybody else that same benefit of the doubt, man. Like try to understand what it is they're saying as opposed to how it makes you feel.
Right. And you know, in having a show like this where we ended it with an Andrew Tate kind of discussion, I think we need to have shows where we specifically talk about certain topics that are really controversial and relevant that we're not allowed to talk about. Like, should men have a say-so in the birth of a child, not the birth of a child, raising all that stuff? Because I think we've touched on that, and yet both of us have some real strong feelings on the good men that we know we are, and
well, men can get pregnant, right? So we
and now we can talk about it. That's right. Now we can talk about it. I forgot I could be a birthing parent now. So
Yeah,
you know what?
exactly.
I have every right to be able to talk about it then. Anyway, but
Apple even has an emoji, by the way.
These are shows that we got to do. We got to talk about this stuff, and just to be openly honest about. I want to have a say so in this conversation, and I don't want to be shut up just because I swing a little bit. You know what I mean? All right. Anyway, that's it. You got something you want to say? Yeah, that's all you got. I threw you off, didn't I?
That's all I got. I'm gonna assume that you did not mean that the way I took it. So.
Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.